Big, baggy, flamboyant, luminous green, pink and yellow shirts. Gorilla creamed hair, boy band style. Levi's denim jackets, whack on the cologne. Welcome to Belfast 1997. Not just any old part of Belfast, but gay Belfast.
It was electric.
There was semi-naked guys dancing in cages.
Every cell in my body was just lit up.
Sat at the bar was Darren Bradshaw. What happened next would go on to threaten peace in Northern Ireland. One of the few gay police officers in the country shot dead.
Someone had told them that Darren Bradshaw was going to be murdered.
It's a story that's never been told before.
For his own skin, he traded Darren's life.
This is Blood on the Dance Floor. Listen now on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dua Lipa at your service. If you know, you know. But in case you've been living without the internet for the last decade, let me talk to you about Blackpink for a second. They're one of the most successful groups of all time. I mean, their fandom's on the level of the Beatles. And they're made up of just the most lovely girls. Jennie, Jisoo, Rose, and Lisa. We have a song together, Kiss and Make Up, which I did because I'm a huge fan of theirs, and even joined them on stage in New Jersey for the first live performance of it. No amount of rehearsal could have prepared me for witnessing the passion and the power of a K-pop fandom live. It's an energy and intensity that they have had to match night after night for the past 7 years. And it's a challenge Jennie and the rest of the girls have risen to each and every time. Their music is globally adored, and I love the way they've brought Korea to the world. As much as I love to travel, I also feel so firmly rooted in my Britishness and Kosovo-ness, if that's even a thing. And so today's guest, Jennie Kim, joined me for a very special conversation about bringing your culture to the stage. I really believe that showcasing your heritage and cultural identity can be such a powerful tool in not just music, but in all walks of life. I was so excited to learn from Jennie's experience and share her journey with all of you. Jennie and I have become friends since that show in New Jersey, and I just adore her, which is why I invited her to join me on this week's episode for what is in fact her first ever podcast interview. Let's dive in with this week's very special guest, Blackpink's Jennie Kim. Jennie, how you doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm very excited for this.
I'm so happy you said yes to doing this with me.
Only because it's you. I am literally shaking right now. This is my first ever podcast, any kind of thing like this. So
well, I feel very honored.
No, thank you for having me.
Okay, so Jennie, since this episode is all about bringing your culture to the world, I'd love to start by asking you, what are some of your earliest Korean and Kiwi cultural memories?
So I moved to New Zealand when I was 10, and I really jumped in without knowing what to expect. The only thing I could say when I went to New Zealand was, "Hi, my name is Jennie." But the scary part is I adjusted to my lifestyle there within the 6 months. I was just so happy to just be around nature and have a different educational life than I had back in Korea. But what's also fun was I stayed at a Korean homestay. So I also had a Korean culture around me all the time while I was living there. And I would always listen to Korean music, watch Korean movies. So I was in between like that Western culture and having the Korean culture around me. So I had a good both side while I was growing up, I think.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I was reading some articles about how quickly you adapted into your life in New Zealand. Like your mum would call you on the phone and you'd be like, "Oh no, I'm completely settled. I'm going trampolining and I'm off." And you were very like confident and independent from a very young age. And I think that's really cool that you were able to also keep both, you know, your Korean culture at home, even in New Zealand, and then to have this new experience. And I know your story's, I guess, a bit similar to mine, because I grew up back and forth between London and Kosovo, and you grew up back and forth between South Korea and New Zealand. How do you think you were able to navigate both worlds at such a young age? Like, did you feel like you struggled to fit in? Like, were you able to, you know, have that really kind of authentic experience in both places and make that work for you?
When it comes to the adapting part, I really want to thank my mom in this. I feel like I should explain this too. So my name is Jennie in Korean too, which is very rare because I don't have a separate Korean name. Jennie is an English name that's just written in Korean. So now that I think back, I think my mom always had this wish that I would experience not just my culture and my country back home, but also like travel the world and be that person who's free everywhere I go. Like when I was in my kindergarten, like when I was 7, 8, that's when my mom always taught me about how big the world is and that it's not just where I am right now, but that whole world is
Like so big,
Yeah.
it goes around. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, my mom always wanted me to have that in my life. And luckily, I was just able to enjoy what was in front of my eyes, I think. And I was lucky enough to meet great friends when I was in New Zealand who introduced me to their world. And I think it was a blessing that I had, if I look back at it.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I mean, it's cool because I guess in some way your mum just kind of envisioned you having a life not just in Korea but all over the world.
No, definitely.
When do you feel yourself identifying more with one culture than the other when it comes to your, South Korean and New Zealander side? Like, you've obviously spent much more time in South Korea as an adult, but I wonder in which ways does like New Zealand come to the surface?
Really, other than food, how I built my personality and how I see the world, I think my lifestyle back in New Zealand has based me to be who I am right now, and how I interact
cool.
with people and the way I adjust to like new environment. I think it's just the side of me that grew up in New Zealand always is the switch that I turn on when I meet new things. Definitely. Yeah, I always tell people that I am like 50-50 with both cultures. But yeah, like when I meet you, I try to turn on my switch and be the girl who I was when I was like 12.
That's so interesting. I mean, I know that for me, for example, my Albanian heritage is such a big part of my identity, and I lived there as well from the age of 11 to 15. So it's very similar. We have like a very parallel experience in some ways, but I also don't get to always show that side of me in my music. I'm influenced by so many other styles and genres of music. Can you tell me what being Korean means to you, and how are you able to translate that pride in your culture to the work that you get to do as part of Blackpink?
To be honest, I think in the beginning of my career, I guess I had more of that New Zealand side of me where I'm like, let me go out there and then be a part of that world. But as I got into the business and as I got to learn more about myself and my country, because I was based in Korea while we were recording and in the studio and everything, I started to bring more of the Korean side and the Korean culture into my music and my career.
Like they started merging together.
And the biggest reason I jumped into this music path that I chose was me listening to Korean music when I was living in New Zealand. And I dreamt of bringing Korean music to bigger world, because I was also living in a world where I was in between the two cultures, and I saw it happen. Like I really wanted to see it happen in the future, and also I wanted to play the part because I feel like I was able to do that with the language barrier and with the lifestyle that I have lived in the past.
What more would you like us to know about your culture and your country that you've not gotten to share with us yet?
One thing that I love to tell people about what I do and like Korean culture and like especially the music industry is definitely the worth ethic that we have towards like, I mean, our job, everything.
Yeah.
And how we go through such a intense training season phase in life to become, I mean, to actually just drop an album that I've said this in a couple interviews and I'm sure a lot of people know, but I spent 6 years before I put my first album out as Blackpink, just training to be who I am right now. And I think it's very common in Korea to have this big time of preparing what we might do in the future.
That's amazing. I wanted to rewind back to the beginning of Blackpink, if you'll let me. And I'm so fascinated by the K-pop trainee system, which you just talked about. And I understand like it's a really regimented and rigorous training program where you learn a lot, not just about music and dance, but also about language and media and the way you present yourself to the world. And as you went through training, which is so much about polish and precision and perfection, how are you able to maintain your own identity throughout this?
I've actually never really broken down how I did it, but the people who knew the importance of keeping their own identity and character within the training system are the people that are in the group right now. Like a lot of people got lost in the way because we were so focused to satisfy the people that we were working with, but we weren't sure who we were doing it for and how it can identify us in the future because it's literally years of training. It's not just a couple of hours. So you get really drawn into the lifestyle that they put us in. And I think the girls and I were, I don't know if is it too controversial to say this? I don't know. I'm like,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. So
it's like survival of the fittest.
Yeah. The girls and I try to find our own voice and character whilst we had like 30 other people training with us. And I guess our labels saw us trying and
saw something really, really special. I mean, I guess the same goes for like actors and, you know, musicians and people that go into like big auditions to get cast for different things. But it's true. It's like the ones who remain, you know, who manage to stay really strong and withhold their identity while at the same time being really good at learning. I think that's how you get chosen, right?
I guess so.
And so Blackpink records their demos in English first before translating them to Korean. And I know you also record most of your songs in Japanese too?
Before we put out that Japanese version album, we used to, actually not anymore, but we used to record the whole main few songs in Japanese, and that was an experience.
Okay, cool. And so then in the trainee days, you know, you also learned different dance styles from all around the world too, like hip hop and salsa and ballet. I mean, you must have such a incredible cultural education. Like, what were some of your favorite inspirations from those trainee days that inspired you and shaped you and the group today?
The variety of different vocal styles that we approached, like we got to experience, was definitely something that helped me throughout the way. But the good thing about the label that I was under was not only they wanted us to be able to sing in Korean, but we would cover so many pop songs as a trainee. So by the time we had to record our actual song for Blackpink, we were able to like play around the language, play around like the rhythm and like all sorts of things that affect the music with the cultural difference, I think. And like some of the things, I don't know which influenced me the most, but some of the things that I struggled the most that I could tell you right now. Does that work too?
Yeah, of course.
We did a lot of like crumping and like popping, like as a genre of dance. And let me tell you this, I am not the best crumper and popping person in the world.
Well, you can't be perfect at everything.
But
Listen.
yeah, but it was, but also learning something that you're not good at helps you to find what your, like what your main genre is when it comes to dance and vocals. So yeah, I have to say, just trying out all sorts of different things has pinpointed to become who I am, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you put it so beautifully. And I think that's really important for everyone listening, is to know that it's okay to try things. And even if you're not good at them, it will lead you to the place where you're evidently supposed to be.
That's what I wanted to say right now.
So I think that's amazing. Yeah, you said it beautifully. And I know one of the reasons you became rapper, Jennie, is because you spoke English. So you got assigned like the rap parts in the cover songs portion of the trainee program. And you've obviously really grown into that rap role in Blackpink. I mean, it's something that the fans love you for. And now that it's part of your artistry, like, what are some things that rap allows you to explore and communicate to the world? And what comes over you when you do the second verse rap in do 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 do? It's like watching you become an entirely different person.
Actually, I've never really said this anywhere, but I've wanted to, and it's something to do with me rapping. Okay, so like you said, I've gotten into the whole idea of rapping because of the language that I was working with, and that's how I started. And back when I was a trainee, I thought like this is what I was supposed to do. And I got so into it. And by the time that we debut, in my head, I'm thinking I'm a rapper. Like, no, like just in my head, I'm gonna go out there and rap my ass.
Yeah, cool.
But the strange part was like how you said before about finding your identity, like as a trainee too. So after our debut, we did like 6 songs where I would just rap, like seriously rap. And along the way, I kind of got confused because the more I did singing and music, I came to realize that there's a big side of me inside that I love to sing, just play with my vocals. But I actually never had the chance to really explore that as a trainee because I got told that I should be a rapper, So there was a phase where I would hate to rap. Like I was like, this isn't me. Like this isn't the Jennie that I envisioned in my head. Like I don't think I'm a rapper. So there was definitely a burnout season. Is that how do you say it?
Yeah, there was a moment of uncertainty.
There was a moment where I was denying myself just because of the idea that I didn't pick this path that somebody else has picked for me. And then after taking some time off of work and listening to music in general, and then I actually looked back to the videos that I performed and when I was doing lives to like actually see myself enjoying rapping on stage.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I accepted the fact that that is a part of me, but there was a new side of me that hasn't been found within me that I have discovered. So yeah, right now I am lucky enough to have a choice to be a crazy rapper, but also sing whenever I want to. So yeah, I would like to say it's a switch inside that just comes out of me. I'm surprised at myself when I rewatch some of the stuff that I did live. I'm like, whoa.
It's so cool to see you like rediscovering so many aspects of yourself, in the process. And, on the Born Pink tour, your amazing fans, the Blinks, have noticed that you really love singing the song Tally.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's a song which is about asserting your autonomy when there's a lot of pressure and demands on you. And, as a fellow touring musician, when there's so much of our lives on the road, which can be like, wake up, tour, bus, sound check, quick snack, gym, stage, tour bus, sleep,
Exactly.
And you do it all over again. I can totally relate. But tell me, like, what does that song mean to you? And like, what are some ways that you're able to assert yourself with such a regimented schedule in life?
Starting my career in Korea as a K-pop artist has restricted so many sides of me where it wasn't just allowed to be shown because I'm a K-pop idol. And I was scared, I think, also to express myself. And as things grew over time, I was able to express myself, and people would see it as breaking the boundaries rather than she's doing something that she's not allowed to do, and being able to open a new chapter for people that are starting the business in Korea. That's when I realized I want to break more boundaries for people in my culture to understand that expressing yourself as however you want there shouldn't be a standard. There shouldn't be a way to judge. Like there shouldn't be a reason to judge, and just see it as, oh, that's how that person expresses themselves. So I think the song Tally was, I think, one of the first songs that we actually say the F word in the song for us, I think. And at first, when I started performing the song, I couldn't even say it out loud. I was like, ooh, like, yeah, like I would kind of like move away from the mic. And kind of be scared. Oh, like, what if people think this is like not right, you know?
Yeah.
and then more fans were loving the song, and I was connecting with Blinks. Like while I was on stage when I was singing that song, they were like, "Yeah, do your thing," and they were the ones who gave me my confidence and support to really enjoy the song.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
I'm Morgan Freeman, and this is 6 Degrees from Jamie and Spencer.
You know what, Spen? What? I have pulled out some big names for our podcast recently.
What on earth are you talking about?
J-Lo, Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson, dare I say more? They came on cause, apparently, rumour has it, they love me.
You know that they're only talking to you to get to me.
Whoa. I'm producer Phil. I'm the one that gets us the A-list guests around here.
So, join us for the podcast that's all about making new friends and have lots of fun on the way.
And hopefully we stay friends too.
Beautiful.
6 Degrees from Jamie and Spencer.
This is going to be amazing.
Only on BBC Sounds.
So Blackpink is obviously a K-pop group, but you're incredibly multicultural with fans all over the world. And throughout your incredible career, you've stayed very true to your Korean culture, even as you've incorporated Western influence with your production and your lyrics. And I know, for instance, you know, the singles that you led the album with were not English language ones. You know, you could have kicked off a campaign with something like Ice Cream with Selena Gomez. You know, what are your conversations as a group that looked like about not abandoning those K-pop and Korean roots when you've achieved such incredible success in places like America and Europe?
By the way, Kiss and Makeup was our first ever collaboration with a foreign artist.
I know it was.
I
know. I
love
like
you.
That was a special moment for me.
So our producer Teddy was actually an artist himself, who I think was the pioneers of the K-pop industry. And because he knew as an artist it's important to keep who you are to yourself and express that through music, I think he taught us that it's important to bring ourselves. And to be honest, we also didn't expect Blackpink to grow so much globally so quickly, that our main focus was, let's bring what we have, the four of us we have, to the table. And that's really how it started.
I love that. Okay, so Blackpink became the first K-pop group to ever headline Coachella this year. Now, I know, amazing. Now, walk me through like your feelings in that historic moment. Like, how did it feel to present your culture, your music, and your life's work to 250,000 people in person and millions more watching along at home? I mean, thousands of miles away from where you guys got your start.
It was the most exciting and nerve-wracking thing that happened in our lives, definitely. And this happened in the middle of our tour. So that was also a big challenge that we had to get upon. But to me, personally, the hardest part was because we've performed in Sahara tent 4 years ago. I had an idea of what Coachella was now. Because back then, 4 years ago, I was like, I guess it's a festival where, you know, people just rock up, and if you like your music, they'll just, you know, dance along with you. That's where I was at. And then with 4 years headlining, like, I couldn't believe it at first. Like, I had to sit down with the girls and be like, guys, this is happening.
This is happening.
We were watching Ariana Grande, who was headlining when we performed. And then now we're here, we're doing this.
It's amazing.
It's crazy. But also because I knew what to expect a little bit, I was under so much pressure. I think it was my first time crying just as soon as I was off of stage, like first week. As soon as we walked out of stage, I was just like burst in tears. So it was so emotional. Like, I was so proud, and the hard work that we put on, and just the overwhelming feeling that we got from the crowd.
Of course.
It was just a lot
of emotions.
A lot of emotions.
It's amazing. Like you said, like that the trajectory is crazy and amazing. And, you know, like you said, even in 4 years' time from Sahara stage to the main stage, you guys have been working your ass off. And it's very impressive to see.
Actually, we were so grateful, honestly. We really knew what it meant just to be four girls who were from different worlds to get together in a group. And then after years of doing what we love, we end up being on the stage where we dreamt of it. We watched growing up. We fantasize being on that stage. Yeah, so it was a really, really a dream come true situation for all of us, I think. And it was really exciting, actually, because we really brought the Korean culture into our stage this time. And we were so proud of it and happy about it. Just to give you a little explanation, we did. The set was a Korean architect roof design that we had called Hanok. But that was the main set that we have. And then we started our whole set list with wearing a traditional Korean dress called hanbok. It was a very short moment, but we really wanted to bring that Korean culture onto the stage, especially Coachella, because we knew like how big it is to start from where we are and then bring that to in front of, I don't even know how many people. I'm really bad with numbers, but yeah.
But I mean, it's amazing. It's really exciting to see it all happen for you guys. And I mean, with the Born Pink tour wrapping up later this year, like, I want to ask you about one of my favorite things to watch, which is videos of Blackpink sound checks. Because the four of you just get to joke around and enjoy each other's company without the pressures of like the actual show to stress you out. Like, can you take me into that moment and tell me what those moments are like with your bandmates?
So, like, at the beginning of our tour, going to soundcheck every day felt like a lot of work because, you know, it means earlier glam time, or, you know, earlier wake up time. But then I realized how important and fun it is because it wakes you up before the actual show. Like, it lets your energy like connect with the fans that are coming. And the more and more sound checks that we did, we just, like you said, we just started having so much fun because we got to sing the songs that weren't on the set list and just show the actual side of Blackpink before we were Blackpinked out.
Yeah, before you're Blackpinked out, exactly.
Yeah, and luckily our fans are really happy to see us be crazy and just teenage girls. So yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, all these years later, like, what do you still enjoy about each other and what are you still learning from each other?
So during COVID, we had a lot of solo stuff happening in our lives. And I think seeing each member do their solo stuff has taught me a lot of things and gave me more ways to respect them as an artist. Definitely, because we always have to negotiate how we want to do things as a group, but to see each one of us decide for ourselves and make decisions on ourselves was really fun and interesting, I think.
And you were the first member of Blackpink to go solo. And you know, I said I was going to get back to this. You've been doing some really stunning modeling in the recent years, and now you're branching into acting with the HBO series The Idol, which you're starring in under the name Jennie Ruby Jane. What are these new experiences teaching you, and why did you feel like now was the time to start branching out as Jennie Ruby Jane as opposed to Jennie from Blackpink?
I think acting was definitely one of the things that I've wanted to explore, but when I do something, when I decide to really go for it, I know I need to do it right. And first of all, I wanted the new acting part of my life to be authentic rather than just me trying to grab any opportunities that came to me. I really was being patient with my first ever acting job, which means when I was spending some time in LA last year, and I actually got to meet Sam in person, and I got to talk to him, and he talked me through the role that he envisioned for me and everything. And I think it moved my heart. Like, it told that meeting with Sam and talking to him in person, and it all happened really out of the blue. Like, I got a text one day, like, "Oh, are you free next Tuesday?" You know, like, it happened so casually, like, without anticipating the actual job. So it felt really, like, authentic and, like, real. It, like, moved me. Like, it gave me courage to believe that this was the right thing to do.
I love that. As a K-pop superstar, you know, so much of your life is on constant display for your fans. Your days as a trainee were documented and broadcast, and today Blackpink can't even leave the airport without fans following. You know, you're able to share so much of yourself with the world and your fans, but you're also not able to share everything. Like, what are some ways that you have felt maybe misunderstood by people, and what are some things that you feel like you wish you'd been able to share or share differently if you were given the chance?
Over the pandemic and even up to right now, I've learned to take care of my body, and I've learned a lot about myself with my health and how my muscles work, how bendy I am with my arms, with my, like, in every detail that I've spent time. And it's all started because I would constantly hurt myself during performances and lives compared to other girls. And it was just a stressful thing in my life. I'm like, there we go. I fell again. Like, I tripped over again. And, like, I realized that even though I had the training days, that was more about I need to be good at dancing, not how do I keep myself safe and healthy while I'm, you know, doing this. So I feel like I've disappointed my fans at some point of my life where it seemed like I wasn't giving my best. But I haven't had the moment to say this, but I want to say that I did not know how to control my body and, like, use my body the way I should. And like, something like, I just don't do well in heels. You know, some people are amazing in heels. Of me being, like, one of the shortest girl in the group, I cannot work with heels. My feet aren't built for heels. Even though I try, and, you know, sometimes when I'm feeling perfectly fine, like when my body's on it, like, it's fine. But yeah, when I'm, like, traveling so much and my body's all bloated and my feet are, like, so bloated, if I try to dance in heels, my stamina just goes really down because I know it's uncomfortable for me. So yeah, stuff like that. I've wanted to not come clean, but wanted to share with my fans that I'm still at a point where I'm learning about myself, if anything. So yeah, let me be the person to share me, like, from now on. And yeah,
that's beautiful. I think that's important. I think, you know, the experience of also just, like, traveling and performing and also figuring yourself out while you're also in the public eye can be a little bit scary. And so not everybody really knows what happens behind the scenes. So I think that's really nice of you to share those moments, because you're human as well. And you're learning and figuring out, like you say, your body. But I'm glad that you're getting to a point where you're really kind of learning about what you need. I mean, I'm the same. I'm like, I realized how much I needed to be in rehearsal and keep my body strong with like yoga and Pilates and like eat really healthy and keep my mindset really healthy so I'm able to perform. And that's all the other work that goes on behind the scenes to be able to put on the best show. But I assure you, you're doing a really good job and you're not letting anybody down whatsoever.
Thank you.
How would you describe your identity apart from Blackpink? You know, who is Jennie when you're not thinking about making or performing music, you know? And what is that other side of you?
I think honestly, I'm a nerd. Is that bad to say? Like,
no.
I truly believe I'm a nerd. Like, I love learning new things and like experimenting new things.
Yeah.
When I'm off of work, I would randomly go to a pottery class, go to learn French. Like, I just constantly like to throw myself under like this new environment, maybe because of how I grew up, but I just love to see myself like adjusting to the environment that I put myself in.
I completely relate to that. I feel like it's so important to be so curious and constantly learn new things. I mean, I'm constantly trying to like learn new things and keep myself interested and go to the theater and listen to different music and read books and constantly keep myself going. And I think maybe it is something about being thrown into different experiences very young that kind of pushes you in that direction, which is really cool. Jennie, thank you so much. This has been so amazing having you.
Oh my gosh, it was honestly my pleasure.
I like to end my conversations by asking for some lists from my guests. And like you said, I know that you're super into Pilates and yoga, like I am. And because you're always on the road, what are 5 ways you like to get your body moving, even if you don't have a gym you can use?
I feel like I'm a little lazy when I'm actually on tour. Like, it's hard to get my like exercise, but just taking a walk, have a yoga mat in the room, and like what I do is like I would wake up in the morning, just play some really nice calm music, stretch and like meditate. And I'm more on that side of taking care of the body when I'm on tour. So yeah, I didn't give you 5 lists, but go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Well, you said keep a yoga mat in the room and meditate.
Meditate and use stairs.
Yeah, take the stairs.
Take the stairs
Always
if
a good
can.
one.
And yeah, I would say 4 things, if that's okay.
Of course, 4 things is perfect. We'll take it. Jennie, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time.
Of
I appreciate you making time to do this with me.
Of course.
And
Anything for Dua.
oh, love you.
Love you.
Thank you. Love you. Talk to you soon.
So
Bye, babe. Isn't she the sweetest? And what a treat to host her first ever podcast appearance. I love her and the other Blackpink girls so much. And it felt really special to hear more about her culture and the ways she's been able to share that with the world. I hope the episode resonated with you the way it did with me. For some extra content from Jennie, be sure to visit service95.com for an exclusive list of her favorite ways to spend a weekend in Seoul. I've already added them all to my list for the next time I'm lucky enough to visit South Korea. I wanted to also let you know that our July Service 95 book club pick is Pachinko, which you all know I loved so much, written by our Season 2 At Your Service guest, Min Jin Lee. We've got some very special Pachinko-themed content all month on our website and socials, so be sure to join us throughout July for that and so much more. See you next week for another episode of At Your Service. Thanks again for listening.
Just smashed right into the World Trade Center. It was a big explosion of flames.
People Who Knew Me, a story about lies.
You used a terrorist attack to run away from your mess and fake your own death.
And love.
Are you proposing to me?
In the face of death.
I'm Paul. I'm 6 weeks into chemo, and I have no eyebrows.
An original drama for BBC Sounds.
Yeah, something's up.
Starring Rosamund Pike and Hugh Laurie.
Happy death anniversary.
People Who Knew Me. Listen on BBC Sounds.